Buongiorno, welcome to the Autodromo di Mugello for the second round of the Ferrari Challenge TropheoPirelli, I should say, here on a glorious sunny afternoon here at Mugello, the second round of the championship. We were at Monza last time out, of course, and here we are in the Scarperia Mountains in Mugello. Brno is next, and then we follow by Portimao, Silverstone in September, Istanbul in October, and then the World Finals on the first week of December in Abu Dhabi. A close-fought championship, the TropheoPirelli, and the Ferrari Challenge really is in its essence at the moment, and it's in the heart of Ferrari country at Mugello. Beautiful surroundings, an incredible amount of racing drivers with plenty of pedigree as well to go racing around this fantastic circuit, which the drivers state is second only to Mugello, second only to Spa, I should say, in terms of the skill base that the drivers need. Off to the grid comes our helmet cam, which is Giacomo Strata, who took us on a lap of the circuit earlier, and we'll show you around that lap in just a bit. Track temperature, around about 29 degrees Celsius, which is a bit cooler compared to what it was in qualifying this morning. It was baking hot, but the clouds, as you just saw, have come in over the mountains and made things a bit trickier. There is the layout of the circuit. It's a lot more sweeping and a lot more peaks and troughs across the face of the circuit than you would first think. Lots of steep climbs and plenty of long flowing drops that give you quite an incredible sensation around the entirety of the circuit. And the championship battle after Monza is quite an interesting one in both the Pro and the AM categories. In the AM category, the championship leader, Sam Smith, who took a win in race 2 at Monza, is not here, the British-based driver. So the Stratstone Ferrari racer is not here this weekend. That means that the championship leader in effect then is Ezequiel Perez-Compang, the Argentine, in the Moto Piacenza squad. After taking 2 second places at Monza, he scored 31 points in all, just one less than Sam Smith. So he comes in as the ipso facto championship leader. In the AM category. In the Pro category, it's a duel between Stefano Gai and Daniele De Amato, although Stefano Gai is not here either after wrapping up race 1 at Monza. Daniele De Amato won race 2, and he therefore is the man on form in the Pro category. And there are 4 drivers, of course, as a result of the top 3 from Monza, 2 of them not being here, Sam Smith and Stefano Gai, who were on the podium last time at Monza. That means instead of 6 drivers taking handicap penalties, 4 drivers will do so. This is what happens in the Ferrari Challenge. The top 3 drivers from the previous race are all handed grid penalties for the next race. The person who won the last race gets a 6th place grid penalty. The man who finished second gets a 4th place grid drop, and the man who finished 3rd place on the podium gets a 2th place grid drop. This is basically to spice up the racing and encourage overtaking, and it certainly works. I'm Jake Sanson, talking you through the action here in a gorgeous Mugello surroundings, and as you can see, the locals are taking in the sunshine. A gorgeous sunny atmosphere in the heart of Ferrari country. The passion and the beauty is definitely here, off and on the circuit, and this is what we're going to be feasted with over the course of the next half an hour or so. 24 Ferrari 458 Italias with that all-new all-new aerodynamic package that is really starting to spice up the racing. It makes the cars very aesthetically pleasing, and it's going to make the racing very interesting in terms of the dynamic and the ebb and flow of the race as well. 30 minutes. This first race at Mugello, and the same again for tomorrow, of course. And what a beautiful setting it is indeed for a motor race. Ferraris on home territory, where the passion and the beauty is better here than anywhere. A gorgeous surrounding the Scarperia mountain region, and this circuit right in the heart of Ferrari country. The drivers love it, the teams love it, the spectators love it just as much, and it gives fantastic racing wherever we see it. And there are some great vantage points over the course of this circuit as well. Pretty much the entirety of the racetrack, you can see some fantastic motor racing, and walking the paddock earlier today, you really do get an appreciation of just how exciting things are at Mugello. Let's see a lap on board with Giacomo Strata.
Hi, Hi, Jack Strata here. Let's see, I will show you the circuit of Mugello.
The lap starts with a very long straight with a top speed of around 270 kilometers per hour. At the end of the straight we have a hard brake and in fourth gear, and the name of the curve is San Donato. At the exit we have to go on the left side. We put the fifth and then the fourth gear for a left and right chicane. At the exit we stay on the left part of the circuit. Then we have another left and right chicane, so we put the fourth gear, then the fifth for the exit. Then we have a very difficult curve on the right. It's called the Casanova Savelli chicane. We put the fifth gear at the end before the two famous Arrabbiate curves. It's very difficult, and we have to stay on the left part of the circuit. Then at the exit we stay on the left for a hard braking here, for a right and left chicane. At the exit we put the fifth gear for a very difficult right curve called Correntaio. And we put the fourth gear. And then the most exciting chicane, the Biondetti, in fourth gear, then fifth gear, before the last corner. We have a straight, and now hard braking here. We put the fourth gear for the last curve. And that's it. This is Mugello.
So that gives you a bit of a flavour of the Autodromo di Mugello circuit. Big thanks to Giacomo Strata there, the Forza service driver, making his way around the circuit, and it is a very tight and twisty circuit. Let's take you through the grid for this one. Philippe Baron on pole position ahead of Raffaele Giannoni, with Alexander Martin, the Brit, alongside Alessandro Vezzoni. Then on row 3 is Giacomo Strata. David Gosner is there in 6th position on the grid, ahead of Tommaso Rocca and Daniele D'Amato in 8th position on the grid, courtesy of that handicap penalty. That's why his lap time is faster than the 3 men in front. Then in 9th position on the grid, we have the new boy Oknaj. He is there alongside Florian Merch. Then we have the Czech driver Robert Pergel alongside the Italian Dario Caso, another handicap penalty for him. Davide Avogadri is there in 13th alongside Lubomir Jakubik. Then Peter Vanko and Alexander Moiseev. Then Ezekiel Perez-Companc, the effective leader of the AM category, alongside Vadim Gidlin. Then Socio Del Pret alongside Alexis De Bernardi. Josef Jakubik and Patrick Dekac alongside Maxim Lukyanov and Dusan Palcha. So those are the 24 drivers, and they're ready for the off. So with championship leaders in both the Pro and AM categories not here this weekend, Stefano Guy and Sam Smith both missing from the grid, it looks like it's going to be a very interesting race, certainly in the first one here at Mugello, and I wouldn't be surprised if the second one tomorrow is just as exciting. We have 24 drivers all bidding to go for glory, and there's going to be a new championship leader here, whatever happens. The safety car has made its way down towards San Donato on the first lap of running. Some very interesting cameras being used by people over the course of the race meeting, including a very nifty little helicam. You can see obviously some unique views of the race circuit are going to be followed from that particular spectator. So Sam Smith, the leader in the AM category, and Stefano Guy in the Pro category are not here in the championship, so it's up to Perez-Companc and D'Amato in each of the individual categories to demonstrate their craft. As on we go to the formation lap. It's a rolling start once again here in the Ferrari Challenge for race 1. You may wonder as well what has happened to the likeable AM driver Tomasz Kukushka, the Slovakian, who starred so well on the first weekend at Monza with a 4th place in race 1. Well, he is here, but he's certainly not racing. He fell off his motorbike in his hometown in Slovakia. In the build-up to this race, he begged and pleaded with the doctor to let him go racing, but surprisingly, the doctor said no. Not entirely surprised, I have to say. The spectators getting themselves nicely settled in for a great race ahead, Ferrari style. It really is the very best of Italian motorsport in the middle of Ferrari country. When those red lights go green, we'll be racing here at Mugello. Alexander Martin just leaving the shot in 3rd position on the grid. The Brit were on the helmet cam of Strata. We were watching this camera in qualifying earlier today, and it had a tendency to get a little bit loose, so we don't really know over the course of the race just how useful the head cam is going to be. It's certainly beautiful for the moment. You get a real appreciation of what he is going through and what he can see actually as well, because there's not a massive amount of vision that is open to the driver due to the curvature of the windscreen. So it's going to be an interesting one as the race develops for Strata. But it's Philip Baron, the Austrian, who starts alongside Raffaele Giannoni, who was fastest for a long time in qualifying until he was pipped right at the last. Alexander Martin, the number 6, there he is in the yellow and blue, green and pink stripe machine in 3rd on the grid, I should say, sorry. Alongside him is Alessandro Vezzoni, Giacomo Strata, and then David Gosna, Tommaso Rocca and Daniele D'Amato, with his handicap penalty dropping him to 8th on the grid. Oknaj and Florian Merch are on row 5, I should say, 9th and 10th. Robert Pergol and Dario Caso with his own handicap penalty. The safety car taking us on board around the Correntaio hairpin, I should say. San Donato is, of course, the first hairpin. Correntaio beyond half distance of the lap. Then we have David Ovagadri and Lubomir Jakovic on row 7 with Peter Vanko and Alexander Moisiev. Ezekiel Perez-Companc and Vadim Gitlin with Socio Del Plet, Alexis De Bernardi, Josef Jakovic, Patrick Tkac, Maxim Lukyanov and Dusan Palcha as the 24 drivers line up in position ready for the start of this race. And it is a rolling start, and as you can see, the drivers are forming up in the 2 rows to get this race off to a start. This is what Giacomo Strata sees on board. Flexing the brake, flexing the accelerator, trying to get it just right, build up enough temperature in the brakes, also trying to build up temperature in the tyres off the start. Track temperature is getting a little bit less. There's a lot of grey cloud around. It could get interesting in this half-hour race. And let's see who gets the jump. It looks like we could get a very different winner, certainly from the first couple of rows on the grid at this race. But the safety car peels in and we are ready to go for the Ferrari Challenge TropheoPirelli Race 1 here at Mugello. 30 minutes of racing ahead. Lights are red. Wait for it, gentlemen. Lights go green and we are racing, and it's a beautiful start from the pole position man, Philip Baron, the Austrian. He puts himself in the frame, and Alexander Martin is trying to make a run for 2nd place. He's going very well alongside Raffaele Giannoni. It looks like Martin could have 2nd place on the run of the first corner. Giannoni tries to stop him, but Martin is through and into 2nd place. Some great movement through the field as well, and it looks like 4th position. Alessandro Vezzoni is trying to come up into 3rd place, but he doesn't quite make it through. Now, in the Copper Shell race earlier on, we had carnage at that left-hander at Luco, but not this time. Everybody is through safely, and it looks like on the run down to the Materassi and Borgo San Lorenzo curves, we are very nicely in formation. Everybody just trying to make sure that this race isn't lost on the first lap. But Baron is your leader, Martin, then Giannoni up to 3rd place ahead of Strata, who has come up from 5th on the grid. D'Amato is up to 5th. Gosna, Vezzoni is the big loser down to 7th. Then Rocca, Pergol, Oknash, Merch, and then Caso with Avogadri in 13th position ahead of Jakovic. Sorry, Vanko is now ahead of Moisiev because he's just managed to get past Jakovic with Avogadri in 16th position, but it looks to me as though the field has got through nice and tidy on this first lap. So Baron, the Austrian, leads the way, and then in 2nd position, Martin has made his way through. So it's 2 pro drivers, 1st and 2nd, side by side. Great racing here. That was Merch trying to make his move on Oknaj, I think, trying to gain another position. But very ambitious from Florian Merch, the Belgian. And he manages to make the move stick as he takes on Oknaj. And it Looks like everything is neat and tidy through this first lap, but out in front, Philippe Baron, the Austrian, has definitely got himself an advantage. Second place, Alexander Martin, the Englishman, trying to get himself on the grid for the British Touring Car Championship earlier this year. Didn't make it in time with the budget, and so he's now going to be using this as a springboard, hopefully, to British GT. And it looks to me as though Raffaele Giannone is already getting aggressive on the back of Alexander Martin. He flashes his lights down the main straight on the back of Alexander Martin, clearly trying to put him off. He's going to try and make a move down to the first corner, is he? No, you don't. Martin shuts the door. So Baron leads, Martin second, Giannone in third, Strata is fourth, D'Amato up to fifth, Gosner sixth, Verzoni down to seventh, Rocca, Pergel, Oknaj, Kazo, Vanko, Merch, Moisiev and Jakubik is the order at the moment. That's the top 15. All 24 drivers still circulating, so it's a clean and tidy first lap. And Martin is already coming under massive pressure from Giannone. And this is the fight we're watching on board from Strata, who is running in fourth position, not second as the graphic would like to have us believe. But this is the battle for second position, and Strata is watching Giannone swarm all over the back of Alexander Martin, trying to make a move. He weaves one way, weaves the other. Come on, man, put your foot down. But Alexander Martin is driving his own race, and he's allowed to take whatever line he likes in second position up to a point, of course. He's not allowed to ram him off the racetrack, but that's not Alexander Martin's style. Giannone is going to have to be very smart if he wants to get him into a mistake. Was that a bit of a move? Not quite. Certainly a look at Dario Caso. We're on board with Strata. Now this is... Oh, hang on a minute. This is the start replayed with Strata. That is how Verzoni lost ground and dropped to 7th place, we think. Now this is a move. This is on... I didn't quite see who it was, but certainly that was the 37 of Oknaj losing a place. Didn't quite see who it was. I'm assuming it was Pergel that got by, because he's just in front of him on the road. Martin still in front of Giannone in the battle for second position, and the leader, Philippe Baron, is leaving them behind. Ciao, fellas, I'm off and away, and he's got a massive lead at the end of the second lap. It was 1.6 after lap 1. As he crosses the line this time, he's got a lead of 2.6 already. So a massive advantage for Baron, the Austrian, as he comes through. Now this is a replay. Now that appears to be Peter Vanko trying to make his move on Florian Merch, the Belgian. Looks one way, looks the other, can't quite make it through. And a nice little battle shaping up here between Giacomo Strata and Daniele D'Amato. D'Amato in the Dayglow Orange Ferrari. Effectively the championship leader in the pro category, because Stefano Gai is not here this weekend after his win in race 1 at Monza. Daniele D'Amato won race 2, of course. Now this is on board. We watched Dario Caso fly past us, and Caso makes the move then on the 11. So Robert Pergel losing a place there to Caso, and Pergel is of course our rear-facing camera for this race, and it gives you a real indication of the kind of speed that they're running in. Giacomo Strata still running in 4th position, chasing down Giannone, and Alexander Martin trying his best to hang on to the leader, Philippe Baron, who is just flying away at the moment. A great battle for second place, though. Martin, Giannone, Strata, D'Amato and Gosner, and 1.6 seconds behind them is Verzoni in 7th position, who is still trying to maintain the gap in this fight. They sweep through. There's the man at the back of the queue, Gosner, trying to just... take stock of the situation. He doesn't need to go for a move here. He just needs to stay with this battle and watch it develop, because the leader, Philippe Baron, is able to get away in the Octane 126 car. And this is actually giving him a real advantage out in front. He just has to stay in position, pretty much, Philippe Baron. 4th in the championship coming into this one. This is on board with Pergel. Looks like he's lost another place. Or has he? Oh, a bit of contact. And a little bit too much road used there. That's the 88 of Florian Merch trying his best and not quite making it stick. And this is how close the battle for second place is. Drivers having to use the curb and a little bit more to keep on the racetrack, pushing hard. Alexander Martin still pushing hard with Giannone in 3rd position. There's Strata battling to defend Daniele D'Amato, the Italian, trying to make his move. No problems for the Austrian out front, though. Philippe Baron, he got pole position on his own merit. No handicap-handed penalties. He was the fastest man in qualifying anyway this morning, and that is the proof. Oh, and that's a spin. That is Florian Merch. The Belgian has obviously got himself in another incident on the circuit. He rejoins, and that's a broken suspension at the rear. So he's not going to be able to... Oh, he almost spins going into the corner. And this is a collision with Purgel. Oh, oh dear. That's gone very wrong. Let's have a look at it on board with Purgel. He just makes a move on the inside, and it didn't quite work, did it? And I think Purgel got a bit of a hefty clout on the rear right as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if his race didn't go much further either. But look at the battle for second place. Martin has got Giannone breathing down his neck here. Oh, he's run a bit wide, and Giannone's going to lose a lot of momentum. And this is exactly what Strata will be hoping for. He's just sitting by, trying to go around the outside of the hairpin. He tucks back in. He doesn't want to lose a place to Daniele Di Amato. And this is the ebb and flow. On board with Strata, kicking up the dust in front of him is Giannone. Once again trying to take on Martin. And you can see Strata looking in his rearview mirrors. Where is Daniele Di Amato? He's right behind you. That's the answer. Through the final bend at Buccini and onto the main straight once more. And a great line. All five drivers. And again, look, Giannone getting frustrated with Martin. Come on, man. Let me through. You're holding us all up. Down the straight once more, and the gap that Baron has over Martin is now 5 seconds after 4 laps. He is streaking away. His fastest lap is a 1:55.0. Martin's is a 1:56.5 he did last time, so he is really holding the field up at the rate of about a second and a half per lap. And Di Amato has had enough of waiting. He goes for Strata, and that's a nice move. Gosner was trying to follow through as well in the number 50, but he couldn't quite make his move. So, Di Amato in the Moto Piacenza, number 25, moves his way up into 4th place ahead of Strato, and this is Giacomo Strato. He won't be happy with it, but he's just got to sit and wait for an opportunity to get the place back again, and that was almost it. He almost ran very wide there, Di Amato. Quick check in his rearview mirror, into the Casanova, and it looks like we've got a drive-through penalty on our timing screens. It's the 81, that's Alexander Moisiev. So Moisiev, who is right up in the battle for the AM category, he was 3rd at the last race at Monza. Well, this is how Di Amato made his move. Very nicely done. Strata had no response. All he could do, effectively, was quickly get on the apex and shut the door before Gosner made his move. And this is Giannone running wide. Look, he just gets a little bit too wide on the apex, and he was so lucky he didn't lose a place there. On the next corner, we didn't quite see it, but on the next corner, Strata ended up running wide, and there is the confirmation. Car 81, that is Alexander Moisiev, the Russian. He will get a penalty for that one, sadly. Oh, and this ebb and flow in the race. I have a feeling that the injured Thomas Kukushka is probably feeling very, very much he wanted to be part of this one. And finally, Giannone makes the dicing move. Talk about bravery. He just dived for the inside. And he said, right, I've had enough of sitting behind the Brit. I want to move up into 2nd place. And I have a feeling that Alexander Martin's now going to be a sitting duck for Daniele Di Amato. What a move that was, though, from Raffaele Giannone. That was absolutely beautiful. He decided, right, I've had enough. I've got to be brave if I'm going to make this move. And what a move. Stood on the brakes, just held in his guns. Martin tried to turn in and block him, but no. Giannone had had enough of waiting, and he now moves through into 2nd position. Di Amato, 4th place, trying to make his move. So those are the pro standings. Baron leading, and into the pits for the drive-through penalty comes Alexander Moisiev. Now Giannone Giannone is obviously leading the AM category in 2nd place overall, but he was fed up of being stuck behind Baron. I think he wants to try and minimize the damage that Philippe Baron has, because of course you don't want to be too far behind, because if Baron makes a mistake, that is an opportunity for Giannone to pick up the pieces and get the victory, so he doesn't want to let it slide. But there is the confirmation. In the AM category, Giannone is the leader. Strata, who is running 5th overall, is in 2nd place in the class. Gosner is 3rd, and Vuzzoni is in 4th position. But now we can see that Giannone, having moved up into 2nd place, is able to get away from Alexander Martin. And poor Daniele Di Amato is the next man in the chain, and he's desperately trying to make this move on Martin, and Martin is just holding the inside line. No, I've lost 2nd place. I want a podium here. I do not want to lose another place to you, mate. And Di Amato is desperately trying to get past him in the battle for 2nd place in the pro category, and 3rd overall. Di Amato wants as many points as possible. He knows, as we all do, that Stefano Guy is nowhere to be seen this weekend. He's not taking part, and Strata's making his move on Di Amato. There's not a lot of room. Oh, goodness me. Well, Di Amato, holds the outside line. He leaves him enough space to make the move on the inside, but it's going to be a drag race down to the first corner. This is amazing. D'Amato and Strata just nosing in front as they go across the finish line. They are separated by 9 thousandths of a second as they make their run, and they're going to try and take on D'Amato. In comes David Gosner. He's snaking under braking. Gosner's on the inside. Strata does not want to lose a place. He was trying to gain a place. There's contact. Bang, take that. And through goes Gosner. Strata will not be happy. And now he's under pressure from Bazzoni and Carzo. Both of them are on his tail. This is fantastic. Wheel-to-wheel stuff in the Ferrari Challenge. And we are really ripping up this racetrack now. Side by side, Strata defending from Bazzoni, who goes the long way round. Thanks very much. And Strata loses another place. Dario Carzo now trying to make a move up into 7th place, and he's got his headlights on. Come on, man. You're falling backwards through the field. Move over and let me through. Tries to go the long way round the Casanova to try and get the inside line for Cervelli, but it doesn't work. Strata is not going to let him through easily. And right behind this as well, a fantastic view for Tommaso Rocca. He thinks, well, I might be able to get a place here. Now, this is the move on the inside. At the hairpin, there was a little bit of contact as Strata desperately tried to make his move on Daniele D'Amato off the final turn, and a drag race down the straight. David Gosner behind thinks, hang on a minute, I'm going for it, and they did actually bash doors. Gosner on the inside. Strata, I don't think he even realizes that Gosner is there. He's too busy focusing on Daniele D'Amato, and Gosner, bang, 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 I'm going through. And Strata will not be happy with that. Well, all of that puts Daniele D'Amato, well, we didn't see where he got by Martin, but he's got by Martin, so he's up to 3rd place, and flashing the lights now is David Gosner. Come on, Alex, get out of the way. And he's not happy, sat behind him. Alexander Martin will be a bit disappointed that he hasn't quite got the pace. He was talking to me earlier before the qualifying session that this is such a tricky car to set up. You can never quite find the sweet spot, at least he can't in qualifying. He ends up finding himself out of position and then moving his way through the field. Well, this time it appears to be the opposite, as once again Strata goes wheel to wheel. This time it's Dario Carzo who gets through and blocks him before they get to the braking zone. He is not going to allow Strata to get back past him, and that has put poor Giacomo Strata down to 8th place. A few laps ago, Strata was sitting quite comfortably in 4th place and looking aggressive for a move up the field, but it's all gone wrong. He's lost 4 places in the space of 2 laps. And poor Giacomo Strata is really struggling. So, more problems then for Strata as he goes backwards down the field. I'd love to see what it's like inside that car. We need to go to that helmet cam fairly rapidly, I think. And now he's getting the come on from Tommaso Rocca as the teams watch on, hoping that their drivers are going to bring it home in one piece. Philip Barron is a full 8 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. This is Carzo going past Strata. And he made that one look like child's play, didn't he? He obviously got a better run out of the final corner and said, cheers, thanks very much for the memories, I'm going through. And more problems as Martin, now down in 4th place behind Baron, Giannoni and D'Amato, is holding up David Gosner. And Gosner in the Ineco MP racing car is not happy. He wants to get through. He's been flashing his lights for a while now. Come on, I need to get by. And I can't quite understand why Alexander Martin is off form. Maybe it's because they set the car up during qualifying when the track was a bit hotter. The track temperature has dropped a lot now. There's a lot of cloud in the air, so maybe the car just isn't working in the same way for Alexander Martin as it was this morning when we managed to get 3rd position on the grid. Up the inside, Strata trying to take the place back again as the blue flags wave for the 88, for the 83 of Lukyanov. Lukyanov getting lapped there by the leader, Philip Barron, who has an 8-second advantage, which is now 8.7, incidentally. Lukyanov and Palcha both getting lapped by the leader. To give you the difference in the lap times, Barron is lapping about 1:55, and the back markers are doing about a 2:08. So that gives you an indication of the difference in speed as Daniele D'Amato tries again on Giannoni. He wants to get through. Giannoni doesn't want to let him through. He's fighting for 2nd position overall. And Alexander Martin, the Brit, is still there in 4th position, struggling with all kinds of difficulties. The car just doesn't seem to be responding with the same levels of grip and car control that he was able to have earlier on in the race. Certainly earlier on in the qualifying, I should say. And still this battle raging for 2nd place between Giannoni and D'Amato. Well, Murch has... we saw Murch having problems earlier on, and he's now out of the race. He is the only retirement so far. This is a replay That's the 90 making up a place. That's Ezequiel Perez-Companc, the effective leader in the AM category, although not for long. This is going to be side by side. Daniele Diamato. I have a feeling they've been balked by back markers, and Diamato says, thank you very much indeed. I'll move into second place, and Giannoni will be raging. What on earth was that man doing in my way? It's cost me second place. And Lukianov, the 83 it is, the blue Ferrari, moves out of the way, but too little too late as far as Giannoni is concerned, and Daniele Diamato moves into second position, chasing down Philippe Baron now. And there's 13 minutes left of the race. And Lukianov, he's sitting on the racing line. He's sitting on the racing line as the drivers are trying to come through to lap him, and they're losing time, hand over fist. This is causing a bit of a difficulty. Strata closing in on Vezzoni. And I wonder, is there... Oh, well, somebody's had a problem. That's Purgel. Purgel is in trouble, pulling off very slowly. I wonder if he's had an accident, because well, the car doesn't sound too badly damaged. I mean, well, is it a mechanic? Yes, something's definitely wrong. Mechanical problems by the look of it. Oh, front suspension damage. That'll be it then. And massive door damage as well. Somebody's gone in Frank Bruno style on the side there, and really taken a couple of rounds at him. So I wonder what happened there. Purgel is out of it, that is for sure. He's not going any further, as Giannoni is now falling into the clutches of Alexander Martin again. Oh, and that's Purgel. Oh, sorry, that is still Purgel pulling off. I thought it was his teammate pulling off there. So Purgel out of the race, as we saw, just trying to get well out of harm's way. I was starting to think that was his teammate there pulling off, but it's not. Sorry, my apologies for that. I thought it was either Lubomir Jakovic or Pedavanko, also in the Scuderia Praha team. But no, it is Purgel just pulling off the racing line. Baron 10.5 seconds ahead of Daniele Diamato at the moment. Giannoni is now 1 second adrift, and 1 second adrift of him is Martin, who is still in fourth place, holding up Gosner, Vezzoni and Strata, with Carzo 2.5 seconds adrift. Martin really having to struggle here as David Gosner swarming all over the back of him, trying to go the long way round into the first of the Arrabbiatas. No, sorry, that isn't. That's in the hairpin, isn't it? That's Corantaio up towards Biondetti. Through the left, through the right, and still David Gosner getting frustrated by Alexander Martin, who is flicking up the dust. He holds the inside line. He's perfectly entitled to do so, but David Gosner is visibly quicker than him, and definitely later than him on the brakes. He's going to try and get a run here down towards San Donato. It's going to be a drag race, and David Gosner had better be careful, because right behind him is Alessandro Vezzoni. Down across the start-finish line again. Vezzoni looking like he's going to try and make a move on Gosner. He's going to go for it. Gosner has left the door slightly ajar, but he's not going to let him through. No, you're not getting by, mate. I've got a guy to get in front of me. I want to get past Martin. Why don't we both try it? And Strata swarming all over the back of Vezzoni now in the 27, as he desperately tries to get himself back up the order. But Giannoni has been left for dead by Daniele Diamato. He's now pulled out another second in the last lap over him. But Diamato is still not going fast enough to get on terms with Philippe Baron, the race leader, the Austrian. Baron's last lap was a 1:55.3, and Diamato a 1:55.9. Strata just taking a little bit of a look on the inside of Vezzoni, but Alessandro Vezzoni is not going to let him through easily. Into the Arrabbiata 1, through the right. Keep it left on the apex, as Giacomo Strata was talking to us about on his onboard lap. You have to keep to the left side of the track throughout to get the best advantage. And Alexander Martin, well, he doesn't appear to be holding up Gosner anymore. I wonder if the car's come back to him now, because he's certainly not causing a bit of a roadblock for Gosner now. He's actually pulling away from him a little bit by the look of it. Certainly a car length or two further ahead than he was. And it looks like that battle for third position between Giannoni, Martin, Gosner, Vezzoni and Strata is starting to settle down a little bit, but with 9 minutes to go, as we just saw in the background, Purgel walking away from his bent car. I wonder what did happen with him. I wonder who's clouted him in the side. But with this battle still ebbing and flowing for third position, you kind of wonder. It's now getting into the stage where it's all about who's looked after their tyres the best here. Podium could still be in the offing for any one of these 5 drivers. 8.5 minutes to go, and it's all about tyre conservation at this point. You've got to keep the car running smoothly. This is the leader, though. No problems at all for Philipp Baron, the Austrian. Just taking it nice and easy, as we saw in the Copa Shell race earlier on from the leader of that one, Eric Giannoni. Still trying to go for second place overall, but Daniele Di Amato got him fair and square and is pulling away. Alexander Martin now looking to make his move back on Giannoni, and I don't think Giannoni's going to be very eager to let him back through. Carzo having a good battle with Tommaso Rocca and Oknaj, the 37. As Alexander Martin, it seems as though the car has finally come back to him. He's going to go for it into the Cervelli. Does he get through? No, not this time. That was a very ambitious move from Alexander Martin. I would have been very, very impressed indeed if he'd have pulled that off as they run through the Arrabbiata 1 and through the 2. And that has actually put Alexander Martin back a little bit into the clutches of Gosna. He really should have been, well, I'm not saying he shouldn't have made the move there, but that was a risk he had to take. He saw a gap, he went for it, but it has cost him a couple of car lengths, and that's put him back into the clutches of David Gosna, who might be looking for an opportunity to get through at San Donato once again. Through the Commentaio and up towards the Biondetti. On the left, all the curb in the world, through the right, all the curb in the world, and down towards the final hairpin, the Boccini. And still, Alexander Martin holds fast. He's not going to let David Gosna through. Vezzoni and Strata are waiting in the wings as well. Great battle for fourth position. Giannoni seems to have got a little bit more clear air in third position, using all the road and a little bit more on the run down to the finish line. And with 6.5 minutes left on the clock, I estimate we've got about 4 laps to go. So it really is now or never for the drivers battling over third position. Giannoni hanging on to his advantage. It looks like Martin went a little bit wide. Look at the brake discs glowing in the wheel arches there of Vezzoni. He is pushing hard, and lots of heat in those brakes as he makes his way through San Donato for the 13th time. Contact, and that is what puts Merck down the order once again. I think that was the initial contact, wasn't it? Oh, hang on. I think that must be how Pergel got his damage. Yes, that was earlier on, so that's how Pergel retired. That was the incident we saw earlier with Merckx and Pergel. So clearly he was able to continue for a short while, but then the suspension sheared. Now we've got more flashing headlights, and it's Tommaso Rocca this time who is giving the hurry up to Dario Carzo, because he's got a problem all of his own. He's got Oknaj right behind him, trying to move up into 9th position, and Rocca doesn't want to lose another place. So he's saying, come on to Dario, you need to push here. And that's obviously what life is like at the back of the grid for Maxim Lukyanov. We saw him getting embroiled with the leaders earlier on while they were trying to lap him, and he's obviously had a bit of a nudge on the back, a bit of a hurry up, I suppose, is the way to put it. But, little bits of bodywork flailing off. Fortunately, nothing too dangerous, though. Here's the battle once again. Vezzoni and Strata battling over 6th position here. And this is the battle for 8th place. Well, it was the battle for 8th place in the background. There's Carzo coming into shot. And Alexander Martin still trying to hold on to position, still glowing brake ducts as Giacomo Strata watches in front as Vezzoni runs very wide through the final hairpin and onto the main straight. He should have been right on his tail there, because that was an opportunity to move back into 6th position. He needs to keep this going. 4.5 minutes to go, and I make that 3 laps. 3 laps remaining, roughly. Down to the first corner once again. And there is the standings. Baron ahead of Di Amato. Martin and, well, it's not Carzo in overall positions, but that is the order in Pro. In the Pro category, Carzo right behind Martin. And all of a sudden, Giannoni, the leader in the AM category, just 2 positions on the road ahead of Gosna, with Vezzoni and Strata right behind. But it's a great little battle cooking up between these 5 cars. Strata at the back, Giannoni still at the front, but at the moment it appears that it's stalemate at the moment. Everybody's just tightening up, and not much is changing. There's Oknaj, the 37, newcomer to the championship this weekend. Oknaj, one name wonder on the grid this weekend, the Slovakian in the Scuderia Praha car. I'm not sure if that's the car that was being used by Kukushka last time out at Monza. We said earlier on, of course, that Kukushka broke his arm falling off his motorbike in Slovakia, and that's why he's not racing. But certainly a good run for Oknaj in 10th position, running 5th in the pro category at the moment. The man in front of him is Dario Caso in 4th place in pro, who is 2 positions ahead in the overall standings. And it looked like Giannoni just got a wheel onto the grass there and flicked up a bit of dirt into Alexander Martin's face, and that's going to give Martin a bit of a frustrating sight because he's far enough ahead, he's making mistakes, but with 2 laps to go, it's looking pretty sweet and serene for Philippe Baron, the Austrian. He hasn't put a foot wrong, and he's dominated out in front, making it look so easy. The Austrian took the lead and disappeared into the distance. Now we know why he was fastest in qualifying, because he's hit a sweet spot here at the Autodromo di Mugello, and he's able to make it look easy. That's the man in 2nd place, Daniele D'Amato. Now that's an important move for Daniele, because that is going to put him in the lead of the championship. He'll score 15 points from that, which will take him to 47 at this point. Philippe Baron is going to get a victory at this rate, and that will put him on 47 as well. So they're going to tie for the lead at this point if it stays like this. Alexander Martin, they're in 4th position, stuck behind Giannoni. This is going to be a strong podium position in the class for Alexander Martin, and that's why he doesn't want to lose too much time to Gosner and Vezzoni in front of him. He'd have liked to have been on the overall podium, but if he can't quite get there, well, a pro podium is certainly going to be a good one. And so we're approaching the last lap now. Out in front, still Philippe Baron, the Austrian, 10.9 seconds clear of Daniele D'Amato, who has stretched the gap between himself and Giannoni in 3rd place to 7.5 seconds, with Alexander Martin just 1 second adrift. And you kind of get the feeling that Alexander Martin isn't done yet. I think he's actually closing in on Giannoni to try and make the move into 3rd overall. He doesn't just want 3rd in class, he wants 3rd overall as well. Vezzoni in the 27 as he makes his way through the Corantaio, still pushing hard in 6th position, and it looks like Tommaso Rocca has finally got past Dario Caso. We look in the background, yes, there is the red Ferrari ahead of Dario Caso. So Giannoni under real pressure as we go into the final lap here. This is going to be the last lap. Philippe Baron and Daniele D'Amato way out in front, 11 seconds between those two. And this is the battle. 3rd position is up for grabs here. Giannoni, Martin, Gosner, Vezzoni and Strata. And if I know the Ferrari challenge, it could go anybody's way. This is the last lap, and there are 5 men bidding for 3rd position on a very cool track compared to earlier on, even in this race. There is Gosner, 2nd in the AM category, trying to chase down the man who is 3rd in the pro category, who is 1 place behind the leader in the AM category. So that's what this is all about. Being stuck behind Alexander Martin is really going to cost Gosner here any chance of going for a victory in the AM Championship, because Giannoni is currently leading in the AM class ahead of Gosner, Vezzoni and Strata, who are 5th, 6th and 7th overall, respectively. And Alexander Martin is the meat in an AM sandwich at the moment. There is Baron, leading nicely in the Octane 126 car. Out of the Palagio left-hander he goes, and into the hairpin at Corantaio. He has driven a perfect race. He has not made a single mistake in the entirety of this race, and there's not many racers in the world you could say that about on a race victory. Biondati 1, Biondati 2, and then up towards the final corner, the Buccini, into the final turn. It's been a masterclass drive from the Austrian as Philippe Baron out of the final turn. He was fastest in qualifying, and now we see why. Out of the final turn, down the straight for the last time, and Philippe Baron takes the victory in race 1 here at Autodromo di Mugello. A fantastic performance in the Ferrari Challenge TropheoPirelli, and it's all kicking off for 3rd position. Martin holding on to 3rd as long as he physically can. 4th position, I should say, as long as he physically can. One last opportunity, perhaps, for Gosner. He's not quite going to get there. D'Amato has already crossed the line for 2nd. Giannoni flashes his headlights for a win in the AM category. And Gosner, well, he's happy for 2nd place, I suppose. He'll be happy with that one. So Baron gets the win in the pro category as well as overall from D'Amato and Martin, who was third in pro and fourth overall. In the AM class, Giannoni is the winner in third overall from Gosner and Vazzoni, who were fifth and sixth overall. Strata is seventh overall ahead of Tommaso Rocca, Caso and Oknaj. Across the line comes Avogadri from Vanco in 12th and 13th. Gitlin is there in 14th position. They're all behind Perez Companc, who was the effective leader in the AM category, but he crosses the line today in 6th position, so it's going to make the AM standings very close indeed at the end of this one. And I have a feeling, if I've done my maths right, which is a possibility, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but if I've done my maths right, we have a tie for the lead in the pro category. There's your top three in each of the championships. In the pro, it's Baron from D'Amato and Martin, and in the AM class, it's Giannoni from Gosner and Vazzoni in the top three of each class. But Baron is the winner in pro and overall. D'Amato is second in pro and overall. Martin is third in pro and fourth overall. And there is the man who wins it all. Philipp Baron, the Austrian. He's made it look very easy over the course of this race, and he has driven with absolute textbook masterclass skills. No mistakes at all from the Austrian. And thumbs up from all of us around. There is the winner in the AM category as well. Well, no, sorry, we thought there was the winner in the AM category. That's his teammate in the 17. That is Dusan Palcha. Well, no, it's not the teammate, sorry. He's in the Dino & Co. Scuderia Praha car, which is very similar in colour scheme and livery to the Rosso Corsa Pelin racing machine of Alessandro Vazzoni, the Moto Piacenza car, I should say, of Raffaele Giannoni, who took the victory in the AM category. Thumbs up too for the 44. That is Lubomir Jakubik. But it's a win for Giannoni in the Moto Piacenza squad in the AM category. He'll be happy with that one. And after a very hard fight, third position is his reward, and a victory in the AM class. He'll be happy with that indeed. And it's a victory overall for Philipp Baron. There is the 40. No, sorry, there is Daniele D'Amato, I think. So some great chats down in the pit lane. There's our British contingent, Alexander Martin. Struggled home to a podium in third place, but the helmet has come off for Philipp Baron, and he finally makes his way out of the car. It looked absolutely flawless out there from the Austrian, and he certainly delivered in fine, fine style. And that is a great, great victory. What it means for the championship standings is it means, if I've done my maths right, we have a dead heat between Daniele D'Amato and Philipp Baron. Let's have a look at the race classification overall, or so in the pro category. The top six are Baron, D'Amato and Martin on the podium, and then Caso, Oknaj and Robert Pergel. 8 laps adrift, but still managing to get 6th position after that race. Then in the top 10 for race 1 in the AM class, it's Giannoni who wins from Gosner, Vazzoni, Strata and Rocca for an all-Italian top 5. Perez Companc, the Argentine, is 6th, ahead of Avogadri, Vanco, Gitlin and De Bernardi. So a fantastic first race then here at Mugello, and a brilliant race performance. What are we looking at here? That's Gosner having a look at the side of his car there. I wonder what he made of all that, sitting around waiting for Martin to move. Nothing much happened really for Alexander Martin. He went off the pace and then came back on it again. A great race in the Ferrari Challenge TropheoPirelli got us going here at Mugello. Off the grid, it was a beautiful start from Philipp Baron, and he would never really look back, but a great fight on the run to the first corner between Giannoni and Martin. Martin briefly moving his way into second position. But once he was in second place, Giannoni was pushing hard. He managed to finally make the move on Martin at the final turn, while other drivers, Alexander Moisiev to be precise, were having drive-through penalties. Daniele D'Amato finally fought his way through into third place after going door-to-door, quite literally, with Giacomo Strata, and Dario Caso was having a fight of his own too. But eventually, it was a beautiful move that decided the fate of the battle between D'Amato and Strata. Elsewhere, there was a collision that put two men out of the action. Murch and Bergel with a lot of accident damage and a bit of a repair bill overnight. The battle for third position continued as D'Amato finally made his way past Alexander Martin and Giannoni. But this five-car battle was going to be intense throughout. The positions may not have changed, but it was definitely who blinked first. Out in front, though, no such worries for Philippe Baron as he dominated proceedings and made it a truly exceptional victory. Giannoni taking the win in the AM class, and that's just where we get started. So a fantastic race then at Autodromo di Mugello, and some great overtaking, some great battles through the course of the race as well, and an absolutely brilliant performance from everyone in that race. Well, as you can see, it's time to give out some trophies now in the paddock here at Mugello. And some truly deserving drivers of those trophies as well. Philippe Baron, Daniele D'Amato and Alexander Martin in the pro category, just for starters.
Siamo qui con Philippe Baron, il vincitore del campionato pro winner. Philippe Baron, you lead race right from the start. Can you tell us the race?
I was pushing pretty hard during the whole race because we had some setup changes from the qualifying on we wanted to test. So I was getting the opportunity to do that, and I think the car worked really well. Octane 126 did a pretty good job, and we won the race pretty easy.
Grazie.
Ciao.
Simple as that, really. Philippe Baron took the lead, drove away, never had to sweat. Absolutely perfect drive from the Austrian, and the Octane 126 team are going to be delighted with that performance. And once again, just as we saw in the Shell Copa earlier on, he becomes the third different winner in 3 races. That shows you just how competitive this championship really is. Overtaking and great battles throughout the course of the championship. So here is the podium then for the pro category. Well, it looks like we're going to see the top 3 drivers on the pro podium first of all, Alessandro, before we interview the winner in the AM category. Alexander Martin, Daniele D'Amato, and the Austrian national anthem for the winner, Philippe Baron. What a drive from Philippe Baron, a brilliant performance, never looked back once the lights went green. Daniele D'Amato in second place and Alexander Martin third in the pro category. That's good enough to put him fourth overall. He held on, and the Brit, who is hopeful of British GT next year, definitely doing all the right things on the racetrack to advertise himself to some of the teams for next year perhaps. The president of Mugello Circuit is giving the trophies out, Roberto Benelli, who we are all very grateful to for putting on such a fantastic show this weekend for the Ferrari Challenge. And a great trophy for Daniele D'Amato and Philippe Baron in second and first respectively, but they go equal in the championship as far as my maths is concerned in the TropheoPirelli Pro category. And a great trophy as well for the winning team, Octon 126, who have put in a fantastic job over the course of the race. And Philippe Baron also getting the Pirelli trophy as well. I believe that is for fastest lap. So a very nice crop of trophies then, but all of the drivers are going to want to spray the champagne with lots of verve and vigour. A nice little photograph celebration, and then of course a bit of a party tonight, and then more work to do for tomorrow. So I don't think the party's going to be quite so active tonight, but it'll certainly be in earnest tomorrow if they can repeat the feats. But of course, all three of these men will get grid penalties for tomorrow, handicap penalties, 6 for Philippe Baron, 4 places for D'Amato, and 2 places for Alexander Martin. And Alessandro has the AM winner.
Raffaele Giannini si è arrivato al podio, Raffaele Giannoni si è arrivato al quarto al podio di Monza e oggi invece sei sul gradino più alto. A chi vuoi dedicare questa vittoria?
Ma sicuramente a mia figlia Anni, perché a Monza lei c'era, le avevo promesso un podio a 2 anni e mezzo e mi guardava da sotto, siamo stati sotto e le ho detto la prossima gara papà va a podio. Team F Corse mi ha messo a disposizione un'altra macchina.
Incidentally, don't fret that this is in Italian. Alessandro is always very good at asking the winning driver to say a little in English as well.
In English, please.
Okay, I just want to dedicate this victory to my small daughter and my little daughter. We were under the podium in Monza, and I promised her Daddy will go at the podium in Mugello, and I did it. And I did it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. What a nice promise, and well done for keeping it as well, Raffaele. You did a good job there. Very aggressive throughout the course of the race, but making the right moves in the right places. That overtaking move on Alexander Martin, just perfect. And while he did his best to keep Daniele D'Amato back, it was never quite going to happen. And now he gets a podium ceremony all of his own to celebrate his achievements as the winner of the TropheoPirelli AM category. Joining him on the podium, of course, are going to be David Gosna and Alessandro Vezzoni. But it's going to be the Italian national anthem that rings out here at the Autodromo di Mugello. Just what the public wanted to see and hear. So here will come third place onto the podium, Alessandro Vezzoni. A great job from the team as he gets himself in third place after a hard effort. And a great second place and a delighted second place for David Gosna. He is delighted with second place, but the win, and his daughter will be delighted. Raffaele Giannoni. It's the Italian national anthem then for the winner of the Pirelli AM category. A fantastic performance then from Raffaele Giannoni as he beats David Gosna and Alessandro Vezzoni to the TropheoPirelli AM category victory. And once again, it is the president of the Mugello circuit, Roberto Benelli, who gives out the trophies to the top 3 drivers. A fantastic performance from Alessandro Vezzoni, very aggressive in all the right ways, and he got himself third position. Some great racing and some great racecraft too from David Gosna, pushing Alexander Martin all the way, and he seems pretty chuffed with second place. Almost like a victory for him, but Raffaele Giannoni is the man who gives the Moto Piacenza team a brilliant victory and a very feisty drive as well. And the team will be delighted as well. The Moto Piacenzas won with their victory. So, some great performances then from our 3 drivers in the Pro and AM categories, and he also gets a trophy, does Raffaele Giannoni, I think also for fastest lap in the category. And of course there is a bonus point for fastest lap in the category, so I have a feeling that, having said previously that there's going to be a tie for the lead in the Pro category, there might just be a 1-point split between Baron and Daniele D'Amato. The next race tomorrow at 11:55 GMT, so it's local time for us, 13:55. And we are very much looking forward to the Coppa Shell and the TropheoPirelli races tomorrow here at Autodromo di Mugello.